This is the first time in kind of a while where we don't know what the next Sonic game is going to be. With Sonic Frontiers, Superstars, and Dream Team already out, the future for Sonic the Hedgehog is kind of up in the air. We don't know what's going to be happening next, and to be honest with you, that makes me really excited. Now, if you've been a Sonic fan for long enough, or a fan of just about any gaming franchise, you'll know that the time period where we're waiting for the next announcement is always going to be filled with a bunch of leaks. Now, I personally don't particularly care about leaks because a lot of them just, to be honest with you, aren't true. It's just people projecting their hopes into reality and just kind of, spreading false information. There is one leak that I'm always interested in seeing, and that's when the leaker claims that there's going to be yet another Sonic the Hedgehog remaster. The reason why this always captures my attention is because I actually have a couple games that I personally would like to see remastered. So in today's video, I picked 5 Sonic games that I believe really should be remastered at some point. Before we get started, as always, if you like content like this and want to see more of it in the future, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. Turning on the post notifications bell would also help too, that way you never miss a video from me. You guys do not want to miss what I have to say. First thing we should do is definitely start by getting some of the obvious Sonic games out of the way, like Sonic Unleashed for example. I think everyone's been clamoring for a remaster or even just a port of this game for basically the beginning of time itself. Sonic Unleashed is such an obvious choice for a remaster because, in all seriousness, and in the simplest way I can possibly explain it, is the game was ahead of its time. It came out during a time period where Sonic the Hedgehog had only received a lot of flack after releasing the game Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. But even putting aside the negative attention that Unleashed got because of Sonic 06, it's important to remember that this game graphically is just amazing. Visually, I'd say it's one of the best looking Sonic games. I even made a video 2 years ago talking about why this game in particular really does deserve a remaster, so if you haven't seen that, definitely go check that out. The summarized version of that 11-minute video is just that Unleashed is a truly great Sonic game. One of the games that I believe represents Sonic as a character in the best ways possible. I think this is the best execution we've ever seen of the boost formula as well, and the Werehog is really hated on. The Werehog is a lot of fun. And I think you really don't understand the true enjoyment of the Werehog if you're just mashing the same button over and over again. Learn the combos and have a good time playing as him. I promise you, it'll change everything for you. Now that should be enough reason as to why Unleashed deserves a remaster, but another one that I think is important to mention is the fact that the Wii version of Sonic Unleashed is not nearly as good as the PS3 Xbox version. To be totally honest with you, the two games are entirely separate experiences. One of them is just, a shell of what it's supposed to be. And I feel like we are neglecting that side of the fan base, the people who play only Nintendo consoles, like, kind of myself, when we don't give them the best version of Sonic Unleashed. And this is the perfect way to do it when you remaster Unleashed, when you put it on every single console in the same way you possibly can. For those of you who are big fans of Sonic Unleashed on the Wii, no hate goes towards you. The game is good, but I don't think it's as good as it could be when you look at the other version of Sonic Unleashed. And I already know there's going to be some people telling me that there's no way that you can play Unleashed on Switch. I don't even want to hear it, because if you can play games like this on Nintendo Switch at a very well-paced rate, then Unleashed will work just fine. Moving on, I'm going to go to a 2-for-1 here, and it's going to be another obvious pick, which is why I'm talking about the two games together, Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. Just like Sonic Unleashed, Adventure and Adventure 2 don't really need much explanation as to why the game should be remastered, but I think one really important thing to mention here is not only are these games very good, but they're also kind of hard to play nowadays, unless you have a PC. Thankfully, I have a PC, but outside of that, I have to rely on my GameCube to play the games again with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle and Sonic Adventure DX, which I know DX is not the finest example of what Adventure should be, but it gets the job done. At least you can play it. It's not the most horrific thing that Sonic has ever put out. But outside of just the accessibility that the game really kinda lacks nowadays, I think that the characters that these games include are key and pivotal characters within the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. Basically everyone you see in Adventure 1 and Adventure 2 that are playable are main characters and staples in the franchise, aside from Gamma, of course. But having said that, and with the Sonic Movie 3 coming out soon, it just seems like it'd be a very wise and amazing choice to have the adventure games kind of, remastered on new consoles just ahead of the release of the movie. People are going to want to know more about this Shadow the Hedgehog character, so what's a better place to start than from the beginning with this character? Shadow's awesome, why not give us more Shadow? Ideally, if it were up to me, what I would do if I was Sega making these two games again, I would release them as a bundle. I'd make these two games come together where you can just immediately start Adventure 2 right after finishing Adventure 1. It'd be like a really cool, Sonic 3D Collector's Edition from the Adventure games. And if they do ever at some point decide to make an actual Sonic Adventure 3, then at least the games Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 will be easy to access in one really manageable way. And I know you don't need to play Adventure 1 in order to play Adventure 2, but the fact that there is a certain order of events here that one comes before the other, people are going to be confused if you just release Sonic Adventure 3, and Adventure 1 and 2 are just kind of lost in the void somewhere, and you have to have a PC or some sort of older console in order to play them. It's just weird. Moving on to my next game on the list is Sonic Rush. Now this game is one that I put on there because I have not had a chance to play this game in ages. And I'm so sad about it because the only way you can play it is on the DS, and I no longer have a DS. So to be honest with you, this game is on here for more personal reasons than anything. I don't really have the Sonic Rush experience. I want that experience desperately. But the thing is, again, it's only on the Nintendo DS, and I could emulate it, but it's just not nearly as fun as actually playing it on the DS. And I know I'm not the only one out there who thinks the same way, or maybe doesn't even have access to a device to emulate the game on. Much like Adventure and Adventure 2, I think that this game, if I remember correctly, was very fun to play, and the fact that it's locked on one console really just adds to why it should be remastered. And I think it'd be pretty freaking sweet to see what the game would look like nowadays with today's graphics and visuals. Granted, I do like the aesthetic of how the DS low poly models look, and I think it'd be really cool to have it as a separate mode or option you can play as, basically to change the overall aesthetic of the game. But I am just so excited to see how this game could possibly look if it were to get a remaster. But above all, I'm just tired of feeling left out. I want to experience this game for myself. The fifth game on this list is Sonic Heroes. Now I went through and played Sonic Heroes again and completed it maybe 3 or 4 years ago at this point, and as much as I liked the game, there were really only two things that really stood out to me about it, and that was the characters and the story. The gameplay I honestly wasn't huge on, and the controls just felt extremely slippery. Like I said, the game is fun, but I think it's held back by a couple of issues. To me, I think this is exactly why this game deserves a remaster more than just about every single other one I mentioned thus far. I think it has the most issues with it that would really warrant and benefit from a remaster. I love all the different teams that you can play as in this game, and I love how all of them have a different way you complete their missions, whether it's being the Chaotix and having to go through and find something throughout the level, completing it normally like Sonic, having a harder, more difficult challenge with Shadow, or just going through it real easy with Amy Rose's team. And yes, while every team does play the same, I don't really think it gets repetitive. I think it's just a different way of completing something, even if you are using it with similar-esque characters. And maybe this is just me, but I feel like Sonic Heroes is one of the more difficult games on this list, and that might be just because of the controls being a little slippery at times, but the characters can be a little bit hard to move, and also the gameplay itself and level design can be tricky to maneuver. At times, these levels are very long, but they can be so rewarding. Heroes is one of the most rewarding games in the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise, in my opinion. And once again, going back to the playable characters, if you have a fan favorite Sonic character, they're likely already featured in this game. I mean, of course, if you're a Silver or a Blaze fan, sorry, a little too early for you. Hey, but who's to say they can't add them in on this potential remaster for the game? It can be Silver, Blaze, and maybe just a Chow or something, I'm not sure. Maybe Marine. I've seen people kind of put that three together sometimes in fan games. Now I know I said there'd be 5 games in this video, and I've already hit my 5, but I wanted to give you guys a little bonus one for sticking around to the end. Sort of an underrated gem of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise that I think, if it got remastered, would definitely be in the public sphere for a little while. And that game is Sonic Battle. Containing a wide range of playable characters, this is one of the only Sonic games, I think it actually might be the only one, that's gotten close to being a fighting game. And I know we Sonic fans have been eyeing for an officially made Sonic fighting game, but this is kind of the closest we've ever gotten to it, and in my opinion, it's been a very fun experience that would be really cool to capture once more in the current day and age. It also would be cool to have it feature online multiplayer of some aspect where you can battle your friends online. Like Sonic Heroes, this game probably has your favorite character in it, so everyone's kind of winning here too. RIP Silver fans. So what did you think about my list of Sonic games that should be remastered? Let me know in the comment section down below, and let me know what Sonic game you'd like to see remastered. I'd love to see what you guys have to say. But anyway, with all that being said and done, this is your boy Sonic signing out. Have a super blessed day, y'all.
Why are you playing that trash?